Hello and welcome to the Soul Line Resource and Reset. My name is Susan Hayes, if this is your first time here. And if not, welcome back. Now, the reset is particularly important to reset the nervous system into one of calmness and inner peace when somebody is experiencing an anxiety attack, a panic attack, maybe an emotional trigger or meltdown. And this is what I want to speak to today, for whether this is something you experience periodically for yourself, as I have, or you are a practitioner or you work in a field where you're coming across people who are having these kinds of experiences more often, or if you are here, chances are these type of people will be coming into your field, your awareness more and more. So thank you for showing up for you. Thank you for showing up for me and for others, because this is really important, particularly as more of those who've experienced extreme trauma that hasn't been fully processed and is rising to the surface. There may be more people having these types of experiences and meltdowns. So it's really important to know what to do to help alleviate it. Now, before I continue, let me just preface this with that I am not I'm not medical personnel. I'm not a doctor. So let me just put that disclaimer out there. I have been trained and I am a breathwork facilitator. I'm very versed in that. I've been doing it for years. And so that is where my background comes from. And so I just want to make that very clear first and foremost. So there are tips that I'm going to offer you that include breathwork is the most important tool with what I'm going to share when somebody is experiencing a panic, anxiety attack, and so on. And this is particularly important to me in my realm because I have found that many twin flames, especially monadic twin flames, have experienced significant trauma, sexual trauma, and ritualistic abuse. So this can be all kinds of trauma. It's really common, in particular with sexual trauma that has been repetitive. And I'll explain why that is, what's going on with the psyche in the emotional state and so on. And the physical, you can see that. And then I'll go into those tips. Okay. So this is for doctors, for dentists, dental hygienists, for airport personnel. Why? Especially for somebody who's had sexual trauma. You've got to touch. You've got to touch. You've got to touch your client. You've got to touch your patient. And a lot of times it's the touch that can trigger somebody who has been sexually traumatized or abused. Touch can be a big trigger, not just touch alone, particularly dentist chairs or medical types of facilities, because there are many of those who are in the twin flame community have also been what's I'm trying not to say too much, and I'll share a little bit who've been in the S dot 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 S dot 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 P. I don't want to be flagged and lose my channel again. Yet this is also something that is becoming more prevalent and more coming to the surface, that many are recovering memories. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Of those experiences where there's been a lot of medical techniques that have been performed against one's will that involve torture and ritualistic abuse, sexual trauma, and so on. And I'll leave it at that. So the triggers are very real. There's often a deep level of unprocessed trauma that is behind those triggers. So they're not just being, like, oh my God, they're overreacting. Like, what's wrong with them? Like, oh my God, they're psychotic. They need help. That's not what, that's not what people need to hear. And if you're here, chances are you are that loving, compassionate person. You want to understand this better. If you have experienced people like this, or you yourself are experiencing this, let go of the shame, let go of the judgment. I have had meltdowns, anxiety attacks in airports in front of everybody. And just recently, I'm in my 60s, in my 60s, so I was surprised. I've had it at the dentist. When I was in Santa Fe, I had it at the dentist. I had it with the massage therapist, like really big time triggers where I was just in absolute fear and crying, and I couldn't seem to stop, and the breath was starting to become shallow and very uneven. Okay, so I get you. I see you. I understand it. Been there. And there's obviously something coming up here as I cough. I'm going to allow that to be voiced as needed and not redo this video because I think it's an important part of the message. Yeah. Okay, where was I? Okay, so what is happening when somebody has an anxiety attack, an emotional trigger or meltdown in particular? Oftentimes, especially if they have experienced trauma, and trauma is often at the root of it, it's the underlying element. Particularly for those who've experienced repeated sexual trauma and ritualistic abuse, they may be in chronic survival mode, chronic freeze, fight, or flight. Freeze is often the mode that those who've experienced sexual trauma have learned as a survival technique. And so when there's a trigger, they may freeze, but there's still there's this fear, they may cry, they may scream, they may lock up, lock down, and the breathing may stop or become very shallow because it's not safe to breathe. If you're in freeze mode, you're playing dead because playing dead means that will keep you safe and keep you alive. Ironically, think about predators and how the prey play dead so they will go undetected. It's a survival mechanism. And so when somebody's triggered, they're going into freeze mode or into a deeper freeze mode if it's chronic already. And what happens? As you know, whether it's if it's the fight, flight, or freeze, freeze doesn't get talked about as much. The executive functioning of our brain it shuts down. It doesn't completely shut down, but it's in like, what do anyways, but we'll say it shuts down, but not completely, because all that blood needs to go to the extremities because someone is preparing to fight for their life or to run or freeze. And so the front part of your brain, the frontal occipital lobe, is responsible for executive functioning, cognitive functioning, discerning what is happening or has happened in the past and what is now happening, like what is happening in the present. When that shuts down, that is when one can be triggered and looping back to that memory as if it's happening now in the present, because that part of the brain has shut down. So it's really important for you as the person maybe who's experiencing it or someone that is under your care or supervision within your group or program that you know what to do to help them to reset, bring this part of their brain and the rest of them back online so they can have the discernment and not keep looping in. So it's about trust, safety, trust, loving nurturance, non-judgment. So the breath. The first thing is to remind them to breathe. Breathe, breathe. You've got this. I'm here for you. You're safe. Breathe. Breathe slowly and fully, and you can, what's the word I'm looking up? Mimic. Model that for them. You may not say anything, you may just start doing it, and they may pick up synchronistically on your calmness and the way that you're breathing. That in of itself can help bring them back online and bring them back into a state of calmness. It's really important that they're breathing fully and deeply and equal lengths of exhalations and inhalations so that the coherence of the oxygen levels and the carbon dioxide levels are balanced and even, because they often become imbalanced when someone hyperventilates or the breathing comes shallow, and they've actually cut off their breath because even breathing wasn't safe. Remember, they're playing dead. Chances are they're playing dead, so they're even freezing the full breath intake and outtake. So the breath is really important. That is key. So just you doing it, putting a hand on your heart, your lungs, and on your belly. They may be looking at you or not, and modeling that. And then if you find that they're still really hyperventilating or in their panic attack, again, use the words. If you feel that they'll be comfortable with you touching them, you can offer that up. Always ask permission. Is it okay if I touch your forehead, your heart? You may be guided to do either one. I've done this or this depending. I've done this with children. As a teacher, I used to do this with children long before I did breath work. It's amazing how well it works. Here, you're actually helping to calm the frontal lobe and help to bring it back online. This is the one tends to do that when they're in shock because it's a natural response to get the body to not go completely offline, so to speak, or the hand on the heart. And if they're okay with it, you can put your hand on their heart and say, if you're okay with it, they might want to put their hand on yours. Probably not. And just breathe. With your hand there, they can more tune into where you're at in your calmness. I find that sometimes help. But again, a lot of times they may not want to be touched unless you have provided a sacred space of trust and safety. And your voice is soothing, compassionate, gentle, loving, not like, God, really? Like, I don't have time for this. If it's showing up for you, it's showing up not just for them, for you, but others that may be around, because it's allowing everyone to heal. It's tapping into some aspect of you and everybody else. It may just be showing up in a different way, not the same particular aspect that wants to be healed, but it's helping and benefiting everybody. So take the time. It's showing up for a reason. Okay, let me see. If it's somebody who's crying quite a bit, you might just want to place a box of tissues. You don't need to say anything. You don't jam a tissue in their face. They may want it, they may not. And to give them that space and that time. I have found that I back up away a little bit. It's very individual. I may step back, but I'm making sure that I'm present. I make sure that I'm grounded, I'm present. I'm monitoring my own breath to make sure it's slow, full, and deep. And so that's a tip. And with your presence and your groundedness and your centeredness, it will provide the space for them to do the same. So that right then and there is huge, huge, huge. That's number one. If they seem to be okay with your voice, they might want to hear your voice, even though they may feel your presence. I'm here with you. You're safe. Keep breathing. You got this. Keep breathing. It's safe to breathe. It's safe to breathe. Breathe. Let's breathe together. Mhm. I don't know why I bring my shoulders up, but that's okay. That's a natural response. I think because I've been told not to do that. Okay, so the breath. It's really about the breath. There are more in-depth tools that you can use if you're experiencing this yourself or with others in your particular business practice or maybe home. If you'd like to know more about that, I have other videos that will be coming back online or that I'll be redoing. And I also offer shamanic breath work. I have programs where breath work is a huge part of what I do. And so if you'd like to explore more possibilities or go in greater depth, then schedule a complimentary call. I have my links below. In the meantime, please share and comment any of your own suggestions, tips, maybe experiences. Mwah! Much peace and love, all. You got this. Just remember to breathe and let go of any shame if it's you having that episode and everyone else around you thinks you're crazy. You're not crazy. You've just been through a hell of a lot. Okay? Love you all. Ciao, ciao for now.